Have you ever wondered why she only reaches out when she's broken, not when she's happy, not when she's strong, not when she's surrounded by other options, but when she's down, when no one else is picking up the phone? Suddenly, you matter again. You felt it, that text at midnight, that sudden Instagram like after weeks of silence, that voice trembling on the phone. I just needed someone to talk to, and you were there. Of course you were, because you're the good guy, the one who listens, the one who makes her feel safe when the world doesn't. You're her emotional ambulance. She wrecks herself somewhere else, and you get the call to clean up the scene. But here's the part that stings. She disappears as soon as she gets what she needs. The moment she stands back up, wipes the tears, and adjusts her crown, you vanish from her mind. Just like that. You tell yourself you're helping, that maybe this time she'll see your value, that this time, maybe, she'll stay. But deep down, you already know the pattern. She only wants you when she's weak, not because she loves you, because you're convenient, because you're easy to reach and easier to predict, because you'll never punish her for vanishing and she knows you'll be right there again when the next storm comes. You're not the man she desires. You're the man she depends on when desire fails, and that truth cuts deep. Let me ask you something. Do you think she doesn't know what she's doing? You think these late-night check-ins, these sudden moments of vulnerability, these cryptic posts she knows you'll see are all innocent? No, she's not reaching for love. She's reaching for control, the control to summon your attention at will, to remind herself that she still has power over someone even if the rest of the world is ignoring her. This is not romance. It's emotional rationing. She gives you just enough to keep you close, but never enough to actually choose you. And yet, you wait. You tell yourself it's patience, that maybe she's healing, maybe she's just scared. But let's be honest, it's not hope you're feeding. It's your ego's need to be chosen, to be finally seen as enough. Here's what you don't see. She doesn't want the man who stays no matter what. She wants the man who makes her uncertain, the man who can walk away, the one she can't fully read, because that's the man who triggers her desire, her chase, her investment. But you're too available, too predictable, too safe. And safety isn't sexy, not to someone who craves chaos, who equates drama with intensity. You've been taught that consistency wins a woman's heart, but with the wrong woman, it only wins you the role of emotional sponge soaking up her sadness so she can feel clean again. So what do? You pull back, not to punish, but to protect. When she reaches out in weakness, don't rush in. Don't answer that call at 1 a.m. Don't become her comfort when she refused to see your worth when she was strong. Test her, see if she calls when she doesn't need saving. See if she shows up when you're not broken glass she can step over to reach someone else. And if she doesn't, you walk. Because your worth isn't defined by how many pieces of her pain you can hold. It's defined by how willing you are to walk away from someone who only wants you when they're drowning, but never when they're dancing. You've been the rescuer long enough. Now it's time to become the man she can't control, because a woman who only wants you when she's weak doesn't deserve you when you're strong. Have you ever dropped everything for her, only to feel discarded afterward? Tell me what that moment was like. What's the one excuse she always gives when she disappears and comes back? Let's hear the pattern in the comments. Which part of this hits hardest for you right now? Be real, be honest. You know what's even more damaging than her coming back only when she's down? It's what it does to you, quietly, over time. You don't notice it at first. You think you're just being supportive. You tell yourself you're being a good man, steady, patient, understanding. But every time you answer that call, every time you pick her up emotionally when no one else will, you shrink just a little. You stop asking for what you want. You stop expecting consistency. You lower your standards in the name of being there for her. And worst of all, you start mistaking crumbs for affection. She throws you a late-night phone call and you feel needed. She tells you, "No one gets me like you do." And your heart jumps. But it's not love. It's manipulation, unintentional or not. It's still control. She may not even be fully conscious of it, but she knows how to use her pain to keep you close. It's the rescue cycle, and you're trapped in it. She spirals. She calls you. You come running. She feels better. She pulls away. You wait. Repeat. And here's the ugly truth: she doesn't need to change, because you've trained her not to. You've shown her that your love comes with no boundaries, that she can disappear for weeks, treat you like an option, and still find you right where she left you, loyal, silent, waiting. You've become her emotional insurance policy, the backup plan, the soft place to fall. But what happens to you? You start doubting your own value. You start thinking love is about endurance, about suffering silently and staying available. You become afraid to say no, afraid to show strength, because deep down, you fear that if you pull away, she'll leave for good. Let me tell you something: if your presence depends on her pain, it's not love, it's emotional slavery. Because love, real love, shows up when things are calm. Real love chooses you in the light, not just in the shadows. Real love doesn't come crawling only when the rest of the world has gone cold. You need to watch for the signs. Does she disappear after her problems go away? Does she suddenly become cold once you've helped her feel better? Does she avoid intimacy when she's stable, but flood you with affection when she's broken? If the answer is yes, then you are not her lover. You are her relief valve. And here's the strategy shift, Chien Thua Hua. Next time she reaches out in weakness, don't give her instant comfort. Reflect it back. Ask questions. Why are you calling me now? What made you think of me tonight? You're not being cold. You're asserting value. Then hold your ground. Make her show up for you emotionally, not just bleed on you. Set the bar higher. Let her feel the weight of her absence. Let her feel that being close to you isn't something she can pick up and put down at will. Because the moment you stop rewarding inconsistent behavior is the moment you shift the power dynamic. You're not punishing her. You're protecting yourself. You're teaching her and yourself. That emotional access has a cost. Your time, your presence, your energy are sacred. And if she doesn't step up, if she ghosts again, then let her. Because nothing is more powerful than a man who refuses to be needed by someone who never truly wanted him. You've got to stop measuring your worth by how many emotional fires you can put out for her. Your value is in how calm your world becomes without her chaos. You are not her healer. You are not her therapist. You are not her emotional addiction. You are a man, a builder, a protector, a strategist. And that version of you doesn't wait around to be chosen. He chooses. So, what have you been to her, the lover or the recovery room? Have you ever let her come back just because she cried, even though you knew nothing had changed? Share that moment below. What's the hardest part about pulling away when she suddenly needs you? Drop your story. Are you finally ready to break the rescue cycle? There's a kind of silence that hits you after she leaves again. Not the angry kind, not the tearful kind, just empty. You stare at your phone, wondering what you did wrong. You replay the conversation she called crying. She told you you're the only one who understands. She made you feel like you mattered, and then she vanished. Again. And you're left with that same sinking feeling used. Not in the physical sense though, sometimes that's part of it. But emotionally, intimately, spiritually, you gave her space in your chest. You gave her peace when her world was in flames. You gave her kindness when she brought you nothing but confusion. And she gave you silence. That's the part that eats at you. Not the rejection, the erasure, the realization that to her, you're not a man she fears losing, you're a man she assumes will stay. That's the emotional prison you've built for yourself. You're trying to win love by being necessary, not by being chosen. But here's the reality: women don't fall for men they can use. They fall for men they can lose. Let that hit. Because every time you make yourself available, no matter how she treats you, you remove risk from the equation. You remove the tension that fuels attraction. You remove the mystery that makes a woman ask, what does he want? Is he really mine? But when she knows that your answer is always yes, even after months of silence, even after she chose other men, even after she made you the last call on her list, what reason does she have to respect you? Let me give you a tactical shift right now. If she comes back after disappearing, don't reward it. Don't respond like nothing happened. Don't let her trauma dump on you without accountability. Say this: last time you disappeared, I realized how little I actually meant to you. And then stop talking. Watch her face. Watch her stumble. Because that moment when she realizes that you noticed, that you're no longer pretending, that you see the pattern, that's the first crack in her control. And don't just speak the line, live it. Let her feel your shift. If she sends a vague "hey," don't reply for hours or days. If she calls, let it ring. If she texts you about just wanting to talk, don't give her therapy. She is not your responsibility. Her peace is not your burden. You're not cold for choosing your own dignity. You're not rude for setting emotional boundaries. You're not cruel for walking away from a woman who only knows how to love you when she's lonely. You're reclaiming your power, because here's what happens when you stop playing savior: her chaos stops working. She realizes that tears don't manipulate you anymore. That guilt won't bait you back. That disappearing and reappearing won't get the same comfort it used to. And that's when the real test begins. She will either rise to meet your new standard or vanish completely. But at least now, you'll know the truth. You won't be stuck in limbo, hoping a breadcrumb turns into a feast. You won't be living off scraps of attention and calling it loyalty. You'll be standing on solid ground built on self-worth, not self-sacrifice. And that's where real attraction is born. Not in being her emotional servant, but in being the one man she can't manipulate. The one man who doesn't respond to weakness, but strength. Because when she sees that you don't flinch, that you're calm, unmoved, unfazed, she'll either hate you or finally respect you. Either way, you win. So ask yourself right now, what message does your silence send? What does your indifference teach her? What does your absence say that your words never could? Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Have you ever said yes just to avoid losing her and hated yourself for it afterward? Let's talk about it below. What would happen if you stopped responding the next time she comes back? Be honest, would she fight for you? Or move on? Have you ever tried being silent, truly silent, and watched how she reacted? There comes a moment, usually quiet, usually late, when it finally clicks. You look at the pattern, not the promises. You step back from the emotions and see the behavior. You stop asking why she keeps hurting you and start asking why you keep letting her back in. It's the turning point. The day you stop mistaking pain for love. The day you realize that her need for you isn't love, it's dependence. And your need for her isn't strength, it's fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of starting over. Fear of not being needed by anyone else. But here's the brutal truth. If a woman only comes to you when she's weak, then she doesn't see you as a man. She sees you as a ladder, a step, a tool to lift her back up until she finds the man she really wants to stand beside. And if you keep letting her use you like that, you're the one betraying yourself. She's not the villain here. She's doing what weak people do, taking comfort when it's offered, leaving when it's convenient. But you're supposed to be the strong one, the discerning one, the man. You've been giving emotional intimacy to someone who never earned it, pouring loyalty into a woman who was never loyal to you, feeding a fire that only burns you. So what's the cost every time you play her emotional caretaker? You delay your own growth. You waste the energy that should have gone into your purpose. You starve the version of you that would never tolerate this cycle. Let me be very clear, no matter how much she cries, no matter how much history you two share, no matter how much it feels like she's trying, if she disappears when she's happy and returns only when she's broken, she is not your future. She's your test, and you're failing. But there's a way out, one that doesn't require drama, revenge, or harsh words. Just distance, cold, clean, quiet distance. Not the fake kind, where you wait for her to chase you. Not the manipulative kind, where you withhold just to get a reaction. I'm talking about real detachment, the kind that comes from truth. When you truly see what she's doing, the spell breaks. You no longer crave her validation. You no longer chase the high of being needed. You no longer beg for a seat at a table you helped build but were never invited to. And she feels it. She'll send that text and you won't reply. She'll call and you'll let it go. She'll post something just to get your attention and you won't even look. Not because you're bitter, not because you're angry, but because you're done. Done playing therapist to a woman who won't take responsibility. Done playing boyfriend to a woman who won't commit. Done playing man to someone who only wants your strength when it benefits her weakness. This isn't a game of who cares less. It's a decision to care more about yourself. Let me give you one more tactical example. Let's say she texts you after a month of silence, saying, "Hey, I've been thinking about you. Don't bite. Instead, say I'm not in the same place I was before. I'm not available for casual connection anymore." Simple, direct, no bitterness, but a wall she has to climb. A man with self-worth doesn't fear walking away. He doesn't fear silence. He doesn't fear not being wanted because he knows the value of being respected. And if she really wants you, she'll change. Not for a night, not for a week, but in patterns, in effort, in presence. And if she doesn't, then you were right to walk, because the woman who only wanted you when she was weak was never going to stay when you were strong. Have you ever faked indifference hoping she'd chase you and it didn't work? Share the outcome below. What would it take for you to finally stop answering her calls? Do you know what it feels like to truly be done, not because you hate her, but because you love yourself more? Here's what no one tells you, not your friends, not the dating coaches, not the internet. The real power isn't in winning her back. It's in not needing her anymore. It's in that quiet, private moment when she sends another one of those "I miss you" texts, and you feel nothing, no spark, no ache, no pull to reply. Just stillness. Because the man you've become, the man who saw through the game, who stopped needing to be needed, who finally chose himself, that man no longer answers from a place of emptiness. He no longer feels flattered by desperation. He doesn't feel validated by a woman's pain. He doesn't rescue people who left him drowning when they were fine. And that shift, that is when you know you've won. Not the game, not her, but yourself. You stop wondering what she feels. You stop hoping she'll change. You stop checking who she's with, or whether she's thinking about you, or if this time will be different, because it won't, and because it no longer needs to be. You've walked through the fire. You've sat in the silence. You've seen what happens when you give your heart to someone who only calls when she's scared. And you've felt the loneliness of being loved only when it's convenient for her. Now, you're not angry anymore. You're awake. And when you're awake, you stop chasing love that only shows up in the dark. You want the woman who comes when the sun is out, who stands with you in calm, not just crisis, who chooses you when she's full, not just when she's empty, because that's what you've built in yourself now: fullness, stability, presence. And those things, they don't get traded for late-night apologies or half-hearted attempts to start over. They don't bend for weak excuses or guilt-ridden check-ins. They don't collapse just because someone remembers you exist when their world is falling apart. That's the cost of becoming a man with self-respect. You lose the women who only knew how to love broken. You lose the chase, the roller coaster, the addiction to emotional drama. And in exchange, you gain your center. You gain clarity. You gain peace. And maybe someday she'll realize what she lost. She'll scroll through old messages. She'll think back to the night you stayed on the phone for hours when she was crying. She'll remember the way you used to care, how easy it was to call you, to lean on you, to vanish and come back like nothing happened. And she'll miss it. But by then, it won't matter, because she didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect. And now, you protect it with silence, with distance, with the strength to say never again. So here's the final truth. She only wanted you when she was weak, because that's when you were easiest to reach. Now that you're strong, she won't even know where to find you. And that is exactly how it should be. What part of you finally let go after hearing this? Tell me in the comments. I want to know. What's one message you wish you'd sent, but never did? And if she texts you tomorrow, are you finally ready to let it go, unread?